I was just talking about this in my video on the war on the North Side, on the North Pole, and what's been going on over there with the shooting that had happened at the funeral, actually out in the suburbs, involving one of the guys who was connected over there. And I was talking about funerals, and I was talking about I don't think it's a good idea to take kids to funerals of gang members. I don't mean funerals like of regular people that aren't in gangs, but funerals of gang members. I would kind of keep kids away from that, just as a safety precaution, because these things are always getting shot up. And there was just another funeral shot up on the south side over at Leak and Sons, and Leak and Sons is one that's had problems before. That's down on the south side, and I don't know if this was a gang member or not. The funeral was for an 18-year-old. Sometimes the deceased himself is not in a gang, but sometimes there's people that are in gangs at the funeral that are just, were acquaintances of the family or something like that. I don't know if that was the case here. Sometimes it could even be personal stuff. But at any rate, and sometimes it could just be something that's going on in the neighborhood that has nothing to do with the funeral. But, there's just people at the funeral, and sometimes this drama just pops off with their men. So there was just another shooting down there. Two men were critically injured. And this was at the funeral for that 18-year-old on Wednesday morning. The shooting happened at Leak and Sons Funeral Home in the 7800 block of South Cottage Grove in Chatham, shortly before 11 a.m. And Chatham is a neighborhood that's been seeing a lot of problems this year. Chatham typically, I think part of Chatham is supposed to be okay from what I heard. I've never lived in Chatham, but I do know a few people down there, and apparently it has one part that's kind of bad and one part that's kind of not so bad. But I think some of the homes in Chatham are kind of expensive because there's some people with money that live over there, and people that are like in city government and stuff like that live over there. So, but again, on the south side, money doesn't always equate to safety. There's some areas, even like parts of Hyde Park, that are extremely expensive to live, and yet there's violence over there. So, anyways, this was shortly before 11 a.m. Somebody inside of a vehicle opened fire on people outside the funeral home as it drove past. And one of the people there said, all I know is that they said somebody was shooting. Everybody inside got down. From what I understand, the shooting took place right in front of the police. So right in front of the police, they opened fire. One of the guys had come from out of state for his nephew's funeral service, and his car was hit by gunfire. A 38-year-old man was shot in his face, head, and neck. A 43-year-old man was shot in his jaw. And somebody nearby said they had been fighting outside the chapel before the gunfire. So sometimes it could even be something going on between people that were at the funeral. So there was apparently a ruckus going on outside the funeral. So this may have not been gang related. It may have been something that happened at the funeral. So one of the people there said they're killing their mother, their sisters, right along with the other family. So both families are hurting. So what are you winning out of it but a free meal and a cot? He said, these folks who are doing this are destroying lives, not just with the gunshots, but emotionally and mentally and physically, and I'm tired of it. And they said there's nobody in custody, and area detectives are investigating. Officials did not immediately provide further information about the shooting. So, like I said, man, some people may have taken issue with what I was saying about funerals in the comment section, but I definitely, any funeral that, I mean, you got to be honest with yourself about, who it was that died, who's going to be there. I mean, usually, okay, if you're going to be going to a funeral with somebody that, may have problems or may cause problems or something like that, or there may be somebody that's into it with him, or just, a bunch of people that don't like each other or something like that, and some could pop off. The funerals have been a big problem in Chicago over the last few years. Okay, then we had an 8-year-old boy who was killed. This was an accidental discharge. It was not intentional. This is inside his home on the west side in Garfield Park. He was inside of his home with another boy. They found the gun. The weapon was discharged once, and an 8-year-old named Jakari was struck in his chest. He was taken to Mount Sinai. He was later pronounced dead. There were no other injuries. And I'm not going to go through that whole speech again, but people know gun safety, man. If I count up the number of kids that have been saved by having a gun in the home from an intruder versus the number of kids who have died by finding the gun and then killing themselves with it, I'm actually not sure which number would be higher. I think actually it's probably the second number. I want to give a shout out to a firefighter from Chicago, man. She's a lady. She's throwing a back to school bash in memory of her son who was fatally shot earlier this year. Her name's Tamara Stewart. Her son was killed 4 months ago, and they said the pains motivated her to try and help the city's at-risk youth. So the barbershops are really busy around this time of year. Kids are going back to school and everybody's getting their hair done. So they said there's a place called Neil's. This is in Auburn Gresham, and they're gearing up for a huge event this coming Sunday to benefit that life that was lost. So he attended a party on a Saturday evening. His mom said, and that was the last day that I ever heard or seen from my baby. It was on April 15th. 2 weeks ago, after his 17th birthday, this kid, by the way, was a student at Simeon High School. That's where Derrick Rose went. Shout out everybody over at Simeon. His name was Curtis Moore. He was fatally shot, and his mama said, my son was a young man that was full of life, and he told me many times before, Mom, I just want to have fun. I'm a teenager. Going to these parties in the hood, though, man, oh, man, it's always something going on in these parties. These parties are always a problem. And I mean, the list of people that have been killed at parties, over there is just a mile long. But to fulfill her son's dream, she started raising money to help other young entrepreneurs. So this Sunday, she's providing free haircuts and school supplies. And Neil's Barbershop is hosting the event. So you can go over there, get a free haircut, free school supplies. And she's deeply committed, they said, to touching the lives of young people and teaching them that actions have consequences. She said, I'm not sure these individuals that are committing these crimes are thinking about the people that they hurt, and it affects our lives every day. And to be honest with you, I'm not sure they're thinking about anything, because half the time they're drunk, high, off of pills. These pills are underrated as far as like how effective they are at like totally turning somebody into a monster. Like these things get people just totally out of their minds, man. They're sweating out there, like they look like they're off of some really powerful drug. I mean, I don't pop pills. The only pills I've ever tried are Xans, and that was like 20 years ago. And the Xans didn't really do that to me. The Xans just kind of like relaxed me. I don't recommend doing Xans, though, definitely. That was for a prescription. They thought that I was having like mental problems and panic attacks when I wasn't. But that, I heard, like, I was only out for a little bit, so I heard the withdrawal, if you've been out for a while, is like terrible. But some of these other pills, though, man, some of these things cause guys to just like over tweak. And you've heard what's happened with some of these celebrities too that have gone off the stuff, or while they're on the stuff, death, health problems, all type of medical emergencies, collapsing during concerts, all type of stuff, man. So I highly recommend kids to stay away from that. Just because other kids are doing it, man, don't think that it's cool. Because I mean, people dying to be cool out here, like literally. But anyways, she said, I'm not sure that these individuals, are thinking about this. So the back to school giveaway is happening this Sunday from 1 to 5 at the barbershop located at 7745 South Halsted in Chicago, man. So shout out to her and rest in peace to her son. I got a video I'm going to try to drop hopefully tonight about an effort to call a ceasefire, at least like for 12 hours a day in Rogers Park, so the kids can walk to home safely after school when school's about to start, so the gangs don't kill any more kids over there. This is in honor of that little kid that got killed, Boom. His nickname was Boom. He was only 5 years old, man, and he got killed over there. So the gangs, they're asking the gangs to call a ceasefire between 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. So check that video out if I get that uploaded tonight, because I'm going to try and give the information of the people that are doing that so everybody can hop on board and get in compliance with that, man. Shout out to everybody that's organizing that over there. Dear boy, when you see a report, I'm out.